Hey, welcome back to the Midday Q&A. I'm your host, the Duckman. It's been kind of raining on and off. It's warm out here and really humid right now, although there's a bit of a cold breeze, or cool breeze, which it seems, coming out of the south, which is kind of backwards from how it would ordinarily be. But nonetheless, it's actually kind of a okay day to work on something, except the rain has been just going on and off, and it's just been driving me nuts. So I'm trying to answer a bunch of questions you guys have been asking me today, so let's see if we can cover some of these things. One of the first things you guys ask me, how do my ads get on YouTube? How do I select as to what part of the videos that they go into? And there actually is options for that. If you do have an AdSense account, you can actually go ahead and choose your video, as long as it's longer than 10 minutes, that's the caveat. You can actually choose inside the video where you want your ads. And typically what I do is I put my first ad right after the intro. So that way, if you don't want to watch any of the introduction, you can actually fast forward to the yellow hash mark and continue watching the rest of the video. You might miss an important detail, but I do that on purpose because some people just aren't interested in what I have to say, so you can skip right past it. Generally then, I try to space my ads between 5 and 10 minutes out. If I have an hour-and-a-half video, well, you might get about a dozen ads in it. Usually I don't run too many videos that long, and I especially don't add that many ads most of the time. But yeah, that's typically how it's set. Now, if I don't usually care, sometimes I'll hit the button to automatically choose, and YouTube will actually choose for you where it wants to put the ads. And sometimes it's convenient because sometimes it just really doesn't matter. I do like to put ads sometimes where there's a cliffhanger, like I'm about to start the engine or something, and I've seen some of the big YouTubers do that because that's the part of the video that people are going to watch, which makes it much more likely for me to get them to watch that ad. Therefore, I get paid for it. And when it comes down to it, that's really what the ads are all about. It's about the money. And I'm not a complete sellout, but I'd like to get at least a little bit for what I do here, and I do get a little bit. It's not a whole lot, but it's a little bit of something. And I got to say that it's been nice to get that little extra chunk of change. And during that great recession that we just got through a few years ago, it was really nice having that money there because I was able to pay off some credit card debt. And like I said, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was able to make that payments every month and I didn't have to worry about it. So anyways, I hope that answers some of those questions. We're going to answer some more of them right after this intro. So please like, comment, subscribe, pluck that little dingle bell you see down next subscribe button, and we get updates every time I upload a video. Don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles VW Garage up on the Facebook group page. And if you'd like to email me, how's that for speed? That was actually a mess. But if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back in just a minute. So I get asked quite often, what is this nonsense behind me here? Why are there bars on the windows of this house and all the houses in the neighborhood? Frankly, it's not on all the houses, it's on the one. That house is actually a rental, so therefore the rental people aren't going to modify it. But it was owned by a little old lady who's really crabby and just hates everybody. And I was here briefly while she still lived there, and she was just not nice to anybody. Anyway, she moved off to some farmland or something in the middle of nowhere because she hated people that much. She just wanted to get so far away from people. And I really didn't even know that until I looked her up to figure out where she went and what she owned, and it turned out that's where she lives now. But anyway, she's rented that house out since. So like I said, rental people don't modify the house. But I mean, there's no bars on my windows. See what I mean? I got a damaged window screen over there, but there's no bars. Look over here. There's no bars there. There's no bars in the next house. There's no bars on any of these houses. No bars over here. No bars over here. No bars on any of those houses, even way off in the distance. See what I'm talking about? No bars. No bars, no bars, no bars. So do I live in a bad neighborhood? No, I don't live in a bad neighborhood. So anyway, do I live in a bad neighborhood? No, I don't live in a bad neighborhood. Do I live in the best neighborhood? Well, this is probably one of the better ones for Pensacola. That's just the way Pensacola is. I mean, no matter where you go and no matter where you live, you're gonna just have trash. And I gotta say, this is actually one of the nicer places here in town. This street, even though it's in the middle of what a lot of people would like to call the hood of the ghetto, this is actually, they clean the streets here. People clean up their trash. We really don't have too many people clean up their trash. We say that, but Yeah, we're getting new neighbors across the street, so anyway, their trash needs to be picked up on Thursday. I haven't met them yet, but I see they got a lot of stuff for kids out front, so they're probably a working class family, just like I would be if I had kids over here, same situation. But I do need more space, so I'll be leaving here eventually, trying to find something bigger. I need shop space more than anything. Living space, I can cut that in half, but shop space, I need to triple it. So anyways, I hope that clears up that question. Thanks for asking it. So anyway, let's jump to the subject today. You know, how do I know Abom? Abom and I actually go back to, I believe, 2007. 2007 marks my 30th birthday, and on my 30th birthday I went and I bought a couple of little mini choppers. I just wanted something different. It wasn't some kind of midlife crisis thing. It's just a friend of mine and I both wanted a couple little bikes. They were relatively inexpensive, and we got a good deal on them because they were damaged during shipping. So we drove over to Texas and we brought them back. And when we got them back, we discovered that they weren't only damaged from shipping, that they weren't very well manufactured. And the guy who was selling them actually sold us bikes that he was stealing parts off of. So he was using the parts to fix other bikes and then putting the junk parts back onto those. So they had a number of problems with them, just a number of problems. And one of the first ones was the starter sprag actually stripped itself inside of my engine. And I disassembled it and discovered what it was. There's 3 roller bearings that were in there, and you guys have seen me actually, you know what, I think I need to put a wind guard on this camera here. So let me go ahead and switch out the microphone here. We'll be back in just a second. Alright, let's try that. That heavy breeze, I can feel it now, and you probably won't be able to hear it in the microphone. This has a very good dead cat cover on it. But anyway, going back, around 2007, on my 30th birthday, I bought those mini choppers. The starter sprag was stripped out. And recently that engine, actually from that mini chopper, went into the Doodle Bastard. And I replaced the starter sprag on it because it was getting to become a real pain in the ass to keep replacing the bearings that were in it. There was only 3 bearings that are in it, and as they turned, they chewed themselves up. I mean, just terribly chewed themselves up. The first bike did it, and then the second bike did it shortly thereafter. It lasted actually considerably longer, but it had the same problem. And the Chinese manufacturer, whoever it is that makes those over there, decided to upgrade those to a 20 bearing sprag, which no longer is an issue, and I actually replaced that in that Doodle Bastard engine. The Doodle Bastard engine actually originally came from that mini chopper. But before I got to replace that part, maybe even before that replacement part hit the market, I went over to Motion Industries to try to get some just roller bearings that went in there. They were 10 millimeters. I forget how wide they were, 12 millimeters by 10 millimeters or something like that. And Motion Industries said, well, you know, we don't have anything like that. I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, you don't have any roller bearings? And they said, well, you know, go over to Booth Machine and see if he can just go ahead and cut you a couple pieces. And I thought, okay, well, that'd be kind of cool. I'm sure he's got some, you know, 10 millimeter stock, or maybe he can turn some down and just cut them up in some hardened steel. I went over to Booth Machine and I met Adam. And Adam was, well, he was a big guy back then. He's still a big fella, but he was a really big guy. He's actually lost a lot of considerable weight over the years, and he's looking really good and feeling much better about himself. But anyway, I went in there and I showed him what needed to be done. And before he even gave me a price, he stopped me immediately and he said, are you sure you want to invest into this? And he kind of let me know that it's going to be kind of expensive for what it is, and maybe for what it's going into, that's probably not such a good idea. And I kind of had to agree with him. You know, these cheap Chinese engines, they're crap. You know, he put that much money into it, and then the sprag would just eat the bearings up again. And it wasn't just the fault of the bearings, it was just the entire design of the sprag was garbage. And between he and I, and it was more he than I, being the expert that he is, he told me respectfully that I probably shouldn't get into it. So anyway, I took the project home and I parked it for a while. I ended up eventually fixing it. What I ended up doing was I took some 10 millimeter drill bits and I cut down little 12 millimeter sections of it. I mean, drill bits are hardened steel, right? Put the sprag back together and got it working again. But it only worked for a few months before, guess what happened? It stripped them out again. So he was absolutely right. So I was kind of glad I didn't invest all that money into it to have him make parts for it when it probably just would have eaten itself alive. Anyway, Pensacola Riders was a local website where we used to have a forum. We used to talk about riding conditions and places to go in the area, and we used to organize rides, and it turned out he and I had a lot of friends in common. He had I believe it was a Yamaha Virago at the time, and I was riding the Ninja 250, and I kind of became a legend in town with that thing. That's another story for another time. But everybody always knows about the big guy in the Ninja 250 that drives like an absolute maniac. It can pass anybody in the turns no matter how big the bike is. A lot of fun it was. But anyway, we had a lot of friends in common, and we were doing a lot of rides together, and we showed up at a lot of different restaurants together, and I mean, he was always really friendly with me. It was really nice. And anytime that I needed some small machine work done, since he's just around the corner, I always brought him things, and it was always little stuff, you know, like this bolt is broken off, I can't get it out, can you help me with this? And he'd take care of it. You know, I need a hole drilled in this, just drill a hole. That's actually been a joke between the two of us, more so since we did the brakes on the Beetle. We had a lot of friends in common in the motorcycle group, and I knew him from that. And over the years, I still continued to bring things to him, and I started working on his dad's computers. And his dad had a tendency to always infect the machines. I don't know, he was always clicking on the wrong thing. And, you know, it's pretty easy for older people that aren't familiar with a computer, don't know that they're going to be victimized by clicking on a wrong link. So poor guy was always trashing his computer. So I was always fixing it, and I always brought it back to him, plugged it back in, made sure that they were situated and everything was taken care of and they were good to go. So over the years, we developed quite a friendship. You know, we took care of each other for things. Where he had a computer need, I'd take care of him for. If I needed some kind of machining, he'd take care of it for me. And unfortunately, the Great Recession, that it was called, it got a hold of both of us. It really hurt our businesses, both of us. And I mean, and I'm not going to get too personal, but I mean, he knows what happened to him, and it was really bad. Just financial problems for me. I mean, I almost lost my house. I almost lost my car. My business was about the only thing that I held on to, and I continued to put all the money that I had into it just to keep it afloat. And it's still around today, and I'm one of the ones that survived. A lot of these computer people that are here in town didn't make it. Just a lot of them just disappeared. They just vanished. You look in the yellow pages, he uses those anymore, but I like to look at the yellow pages to see what names are left anymore. And there used to be dozens of them, and it turned out there was less than a dozen after all was said and done. Anyway, my name was still in there, and Adam, he saw the hard times with me, and he's rebounded even better than I have, and I love that about him. He put together that YouTube channel, and he's done really, really well on it. I mean, shouts to you, Adam, really, really. I appreciate all the work that you've done for me, and I really appreciate what you've done for everybody by creating a good YouTube presence and demonstrating what you do, and people just love that. And again, I thank you. I mean, I'm up there all the time. I'm always watching. I'm always clicking the like button, even if I don't have anything to comment on, because I don't always know what you're working on. Not my industry, you know. I mean, if it were a Volkswagen part, I'd be familiar, but some of those industrial things, I just don't know what they are. Really cool to look at. I love watching the machines. I love watching your commentary, talking about what you're doing. And, you know, it's really wonderful. Really wonderful what you do. And, you know, more success to you. I mean, your channel's grown tremendously. I think you're close to 250,000 subscribers right now. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, mine is just blown that it's grown to that big and still continues to grow. And a lot of big YouTubers he's actually very close friends with. I can't say that I've been so lucky, not just yet. My YouTube's growing. Maybe I'll get there someday, but not just yet. But I hope that answers the question as to how Adam and I met, and a little bit about our friendship and how we've worked together on lots of little small projects, nothing that's really been too big. And I thank him for all that he's done for me, and I thank you guys for that question. I really do appreciate it. Please go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, plug that little dingle bell you see down next to the subscribe button, and we get updates every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles VW Garage over on the Facebook group page, and if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. And subscribe to Skeeter the Duck, up on Facebook. She's got her own Facebook page, and she's got her own YouTube too, so please check her out. She's got lots of videos and lots more to come. And her birthday will also be on March 17th, coming up next month. We'll be back.